Well, good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Rob Adams, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Sergeant Jeanette McNeely. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free, with golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
For those who are able, you may please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they have done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Walter Winkworth. Walter Winkworth was born in 1888 to Thomas and Caroline Winkworth in the northern New South Wales town of Inverell. Winkworth volunteered for service in the Australian Imperial Force in January 1916. He trained in Australia for 7 months, joining reinforcements of the 33rd Battalion. In October, he sailed from Sydney on board the transship Border, bound for active overseas service. Arriving in England in January 1917, Winkworth trained before sailing for France in March 1917, joining the 33rd Battalion in the field. The unit spent time in billets near the city of Armentières, close to the Belgian border, and rotated in and out of the frontline trenches. In the middle of 1917, British commanders turned their attention from the Somme towards the Franco-Belgian border. They planned a major offensive aimed at capturing the higher ground outside the town of Ypres in Belgium. The first step of this campaign was to capture the ridgeline outside the town of Messines. In preparation for the assault, British, Canadian and Australian soldiers dug mines underneath the German positions and filled them with explosives. Before dawn, on the 7th of June 1917, these explosives were detonated and the Allied soldiers charged the German lines. The 33rd Battalion captured its objectives during the Battle of Messines before being subjected to a German artillery barrage over the next 5 days. One soldier wrote that holding the line at Messines was far worse than capturing it. During July, the 33rd Battalion remained in occupation of the Messines battlefield and German shelling of the area continued. In the middle of the month, Winkworth was a member of a working party taking supplies to the frontline trenches when he was struck by shell fragments and badly wounded in the leg. He was evacuated to an Australian casualty clearing station where he died of his wounds on the 23rd of July 1917. Walter Winkworth was 28 years old. He was buried at Trois-Aubierre Cemetery in northern France, alongside 1,700 other British and Commonwealth soldiers who died during the war. 2 of Winkworth's cousins from Inverell also served in the AIF. Private Louis Colley served in France in the 5th Pioneer Battalion. He survived the war and returned to Australia in 1919. Private Sidney Colley served in the 34th Battalion and was killed at the Battle of Messines a few weeks before Winkworth. Walter Winkworth is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right amongst more than 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of him is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Walter Winkworth, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
I now invite you to please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, we thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.